Hello, Shockers, and welcome to the Student Government Association's virtual town hall. My name is Raja Khan, and I am your student body president. Today, I have the pleasure of hosting University President Dr. Jay Golding, Provost Dr. Rick Muma, Vice President of Student Affairs Dr. Terry Hall, and Manager of Instructional Design and Access Director Caroline Spear. And later, we will be joined by the Director of Financial Aid, Sheila Surrender. Thank you all for joining SGA again today in hopes of addressing student concerns and issues as we all navigate our roles and responsibilities during the coronavirus pandemic. For those who are tuning in with us, welcome. Please feel free to ask any questions or concerns you may have in the comment box, and we will answer those. SGA also provided students a way to submit questions prior to going live, so we will take time to answer some of those as well. With that, we will go ahead and get started with some general updates. First, Dr. Jay Golden.
Well, thank you. I really don't have any updates this time, a rarity, but most of you completed your finals. You've completed the semester, you've completed the academic year. So to you, congratulations. This obviously for all of us is going to be an academic year and a semester that we will never forget, probably the most impactful we will ever have. But I'm glad it's over. I'm glad we're moving forward, and I really look forward to seeing all of you on campus, those who aren't graduating next fall, as we prepare the campus to welcome you back in a safe environment. The next town hall, I'll have an update in regard to tuition for next academic year. But without that, I'm just going to turn it over to the provost who might have some further updates.
Okay, hello everyone, Rick Muma here. Just a few things, and I'll talk a little bit more about this later, give an update on how we're going to slowly and safely open up our campus. I'm starting after Memorial Day. Just want to remind everyone, and the President mentioned that the semester is officially over. Most people have completed their finals, and you all know from discussions prior to this that we have implemented a credit, no credit option for you all to opt in if you'd like to take credit or no credit versus the standard letter grade. And you'll be able to do that starting on the 20th of May, and you'll have until the following week to do that. You'll be getting some reminders about that. And for those of you who are graduating this spring and summer, we will be launching our virtual commencement on Saturday, May 16th at 9 o'clock. So go to wichita.edu/commencement and click on virtual commencement, and you'll be able to watch the commencement and see remarks from the president, myself, and all the deans and the Alumni Association. So looking forward to answer questions later on.
Thank you. Now, our next speaker, Dr. Terry Hall.
Well, good afternoon, Shockers. Like the provost mentioned, that we too are working toward our soft reopening of campus on May 26th, where we in Student Affairs have certainly missed you students, and it's lonely without you on campus. So we look forward to the opportunity to interact with students again. And, you know, we're also looking forward to the opening of school in the fall and working toward how do we be safe in our residence halls, and how do we make sure we're safe as we're running around the Radigan Student Center and keeping social distance. So we've been working hard getting ready for you. And I just had a conversation with a student today about the need for us to get back together and to live with this virus. And it's easy for us to try to ignore it and think it's going to go away, but it's not. And as our provost likes to remind us all, that this virus isn't going away. It's living with it. It's thriving with it is what we need to focus on. And so certainly that's what we're working on right now. And I and student government will have some more messages for you throughout the summer about getting ready for the fall and how much we're looking forward to you.
Thank you. Up next, we have Dr. Caroline Spear.
Hi, Shockers. Well, in instructional design and access, we've been doing kind of two things over the last couple of weeks since last we met. First, our office is the office that works to troubleshoot those small but annoying, we know, technical problems and issues when people do take finals. So we were the office that was on call for those kinds of things. And there are also sometimes some little issues with recording grades and that kind of thing in Blackboard. So we have been working with your instructors to make sure all of that gets done accurately and on time so that everybody can see their grades. But we're also working to support the development of training and other kinds of design issues or design related things for course design for fall. Your instructors are very excited and creative with what they're doing, and we are working to make sure that they can have the vision for their classes. So that's basically what we've been doing in IDA for the last few weeks.
Thank you. First, I'd like to welcome Director Sheila Surrender. We will get to you shortly where you can discuss the financial aid updates. So before we get to any of that, I would love to give the SGA updates. First, we are excited to announce that SGA is looking at collaborating with the Division of Student Affairs to purchase face masks for students on campus. We are going to be asking the Senate through the Legislative Council to approve funding for this. Once we get those in, we will provide further updates. Second, as we note that the student activity fee was revisited due to the pandemic, the original recommendation made by the 62nd session was revisited by a committee which was put in place through my executive order, and the decision was made to recommend to keep the student fees flat for the next fiscal year. That decision was passed by the Senate at the last Senate meeting of the semester. With that, we are done with our general updates, and now we will move into topics to discuss. Up first, we have Dr. Hall discussing international student housing.
Well, so President Khan contacted me that she had heard from some of our international senators that we had a number of international students who had planned to go home for the summer, hadn't planned on taking classes, but now because of the pandemic, they couldn't go home, and the costs of living on campus were too much. And to live on campus in the summertime, you need to be a WSU student. And so in working together with Housing and Residence Life, we were able to set up a special arrangements for some of our international students and some of our domestic students too, who were in the same kind of predicament, that they hadn't planned to be here this summer, hadn't planned to take courses, but couldn't go home. And so because of the leadership from student government, we were able to work out an arrangement where a number of students have been assisted through international ed and housing and through our care team and housing, so they have places to live this summer. So I appreciate SGA bringing that to my attention so that we could help make sure that our students aren't homeless.
Thank you, Dr. Hall, for your help, and the Student and Residence Life for theirs. Up next, we have Dr. Muma discussing Shockers United plan.
Yeah, so I want to just briefly go over, there's about 8 points I'd like to make in terms of how we're moving forward in terms of safely reopening the campus. And the first thing that I'd like for everybody to understand is that we're doing this with everybody's health and safety at the very forefront. So that'll be the most important thing. We're also going to continue, as we have been, having staggered work schedules and office hours. You will be seeing some announcements about this soon for when you know that there may be the kind of services that you want to engage in this summer, even though you'll be taking classes in an online or remote format. We're trying to get the schedule together where we have a common set of hours where if you come up here at a certain time of day, you'll be able to get serviced in all of those various offices. For all of our employees and students, when they're on campus, there will be an emphasis on daily wellness checks, and we'll have some information for you when you do start coming back to campus, what we'd like for you to do before you show up. We certainly want you not to be here when you're not feeling well, if you have a fever and that sort of thing. We will be engaging in social distancing and limiting crowd sizes. Everybody on campus will be wearing a face covering or mask, and depending on where you might be working or studying. All of our spaces are currently being disinfected for our soft opening on May 26th, and then we will continue to work through that and have a process and a protocol to make sure that our spaces are clean and safe. And we're also, for all of our employees here, we're limiting non-essential travel. As Dr. Spear announced earlier, we will be sending out a formal announcement tomorrow, giving people more guidance on what the fall semester will look like in terms of course delivery. And we're focusing on, and Dr. Spear will talk more about this later, to encourage our faculty to design their courses, to limit disruption and ensure quality of learning outcomes. And especially if we have to have another stay-at-home period, we want to make sure that students are not being disrupted in their study. We also are very cognizant of what we need to do to support students, and Dr. Terry Hall would likely address more questions about this if you have any questions. But we're very concerned about finances for students and availability of grants and scholarships and campus employment opportunities. So we'll be putting that in the forefront of what we're doing to as we integrate back on campus. We want to make sure all of our students and advisors stay connected in order to ensure that all students stay on the path to graduation, while also taking into account special needs to help them along the way. As a research university, we're very concerned about continuing our research productivity and making sure our labs are safe and operating with under health and safety guidelines. And many students who are currently studying here at the university are engaged in various different research projects. So we want to make sure that continues in a safe way. And then finally, we have a lot of innovation campus partners physically located on our campus, and we want to make sure that they're coordinating with us and vice versa on their reopening plans. So those are the main points I'd like to make. I'd be happy to answer any questions later on in the program as they may come about, and looking forward to seeing everybody back, certainly in the fall, if not sooner.
Thank you, Dr. Rick Muma. Now we have Director Surrender with us. If you can please discuss the FAFSA, CARES Act, and all the emergency funding.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity to talk a little bit about the CARES Act. As you may have heard or know, we had received nearly $4.4 million through the CARES Act, and our goal was to get that out as quickly as possible to the students so that they could use it for their immediate needs, and primarily for needs like food, any type of housing, technology needs as a result of COVID-19 and the disruption, healthcare or childcare needs. So we developed a plan, and we decided that because of the primary reason of the CARES Act was to meet those emergency needs, we wanted to get those out to our neediest students, and we determined that we would do some immediate grants to our Pell eligible students who had unmet need, meaning that they didn't have any other resources to pay for these types of items. So we awarded last week, we had awarded nearly $2.8 million to roughly 2,800 students at $1,000 each. And those awards went out. Students should have received direct deposits and checks for those funds. And then we created an application that was available for additional grants to be given out based on needs and hardships that students were having. So that's on our website at wichita.edu, FinAid, FINAID, COVID-19, COVID 19. And you can find that application there and submit that application. We had a priority date of last Friday, and we gave out additional awards ranging from $500 to $1,000. Again, grants based on financial need as well as the hardships expressed in their applications. We have a final deadline of the 15th, which is tomorrow. So any students that have additional needs that did not receive funding, we are continuing to award those. We made, with the priority date of the 8th, we made another set of awards this past week. Students should be getting those additional funds, and that was to an additional about 1,300 students that received those funds. So now to date, more than $4 million has been awarded, and we have about an additional 300,000 to award for applications that have come in this week. Our primary goal again was to get those funds, as indicated by the Department of Education, to the students for those immediate needs. We also, prior to the receiving the CARES Act funds, we had partnered with the WSU Foundation, and they have been raising funds through donor support for students who may not qualify for the CARES Act funding. The CARES Act was primarily targeted towards students who were Title IV eligible. So they had to file a FAFSA for consideration, or at least be eligible to file a FAFSA. So we have many other students who have needs as a result of disruption we've had. And so those students, then we use the same application and they can apply for funding through that application for these funds through the WSU Foundation. Again, we were trying to at least give a $500 scholarship award through those funds for students such as international students, our DACA students, and our online only students. So we would like students to continue applying through that application material that we have on our website. And we will continue accepting those because we want to, for as long as funding is available, continue awarding students. And then additionally for this summer, as well as for next year, we want students to apply through the free application for federal aid for federal aid grants, work study, student loans. That's the way to get any type of funding for next year or for summer is through that free application. So we encourage students to, even if they had never filed in the past and find themselves in need right now, we need students to go ahead and apply. There is no deadline for that application for 2021. So for students who are coming in the fall, now would be the ideal time to get that FAFSA filed, and then also any requirements that we share with you through your email, get those in so that we can have aid ready for the fall semester. In addition to that, one thing that I would like to tell students about is that when you file the FAFSA, we're using tax information from 2 years ago. And given the current circumstances, that may not be the situation that you're in right now. There may be job loss for yourself or your family. And so we want to know about that. There is a process called professional judgment where we can take a look at how the circumstances have changed, and we can work with you to determine if it would be important for you to submit some information to us where we can go in and make some adjustments to the FAFSA. That's the simplest way to kind of do that process. So we would encourage you to reach out to our office if you face some hardships and need for us to consider a professional judgment for you. So those are the immediate updates, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Surrender. We appreciate you taking time and giving us that update. I can assure you students will find that information extremely helpful. Now, with the topic to discuss being completed, we will move into the questions. Now, as we know, students are concerned about their ability to have the space to study this summer. So this first question is, will the library be open again this summer? If so, do you know how it will work with the social distancing at hand?
So I'll answer that. Yes, it will be open. There will be limited hours, and we will have space marked off where students can study and work on computers. And of course, we will expect students to social distance. And to help with that, we'll have markings available and seats removed where we don't want students to sit. And that will also include the 24-hour study space, but it won't be open 24 hours, but there will be some opportunities for students to have that space to study in.
Thank you, Dr. Muma. So moving into the next part, not part, but question. So our campus has been doing a great job about hosting events and adding life to our campus. Students are wondering, when will there be a projection on when an announcement will be made about events for the fall and any guidelines for those?
Provost Primo, you want me to take it?
Yes, please.
So as we mentioned earlier, we're working through with those guidelines. Part of it will have to wait to see what kind of state and local guidelines there are for events, especially indoor and outdoors. You know, our hope is that we all stay healthy and that by August some of the event limitations will be lifted, so that if we can have social distancing, we can still have events outside as we have in the past. And so we're working through all of our plans to see the plan do we in place that should there still be restrictions on the number of people that can be together at one time and in the size room or space, or we'll have plans about if some of those things are lifted, what might be a second phase that we can move into. Rest assured that we are all very anxious to get back to have events and to be together and to laugh and have fun and do all the college things that we normally like to do. We're just working on figuring out what those look like in this new era of COVID-19. And so your patience and your ideas and help as we move into that would certainly be appreciated.
Thank you, Dr. Hall. So these town halls have been extremely helpful for me as a student. This is the most information I have been given in my 3 years here. Will these town halls continue? Sometimes these are better than just email announcements. So I believe I can take this question. Now, yes, student government is collaborating with different individuals in different departments, and we do plan on hosting further town halls with in perspective of covering different subjects. So as mentioned by Jay Golden earlier in this town hall, that the next town hall will be about fees, and that is one of them. We are planning on hosting another one regarding student health and so on. So yes, you should expect seeing more town halls, and I'm really happy to hear that students are actually finding these helpful. All right, so student wellness is one of the most important things we are focusing on during the pandemic, and it is an area that needs constant work. A part of staying healthy requires exercising. So the next question is asking whether the YMCA will open up again during the summer.
Yes, absolutely. The YMCA will open up on Monday, May 18th, and our Heskett Center will open back up on Monday, June 1st. And so students will have access to all the 10 Greater Ys as well as our own Heskett Center this summer.
All right, thank you. Now, Dr. Muma, you already discussed the credit, no credit, but there's another question in regards to it. Can you talk about the credit, no credit concept again? I know you probably get a lot of questions about it, but when is the final day we can request credit or no credit?
Sure. So what's going to happen is the faculty are right now grading your finals and rest of your coursework, and they'll have to have all that entered by May 19th. So they will grade your work according to the syllabus using the A, B, C, D, and F grading scale. And that's due on the 19th, May 19th. And then on the next day, May 20th, you will be given instructions on where to go to determine whether you want to accept those grades. And I believe actually if you don't do anything, you just automatically you accept the regular standard grade. But if you want to opt into credit, no credit, you start having the ability to do that on May 20th, and then through May 26th is the last day that you'll have in order to opt into that.
All right, thank you. Now, I would like to provide heads up that we have few more questions remaining. If you are a viewer, please do feel free to ask any questions and we will be happy to answer. Otherwise, we will end these questions after the 3 questions we have left. Now, this question is from a new student coming this fall. Is there a date when we will learn if tuition will go up or stay the same?
So we will know before June 1st. I have to go before the Board of Regents and submit by June 1st. And then even if there is a slight increase, the Board of Regents in that June meeting would need to vote for all the institutions. So certainly by the end of June, if not earlier, we will have a definitive answer for our students.
Thank you. This is another question from a new student coming this fall. I am going to be a new student this fall and am interested in joining a sorority on campus. Do you know when a decision will be made on recruitment for the fall?
Yes, actually, we were just talking about that today. Part of that is we're waiting for some guidance from the National Panhellenic Conference, which is the governing body for all the traditionally white sororities across the country and the world. But it's likely that recruitment will be several days longer if we're able to have it, so that we can have smaller party sizes to not go over the, which at that time we probably will think could be a 30 or a 90 person size for an event. So stay tuned. We hope to make some decisions within the coming weeks based on the best guidance that we have at the time and projecting for what we expect to be like in August.
Thank you. Now, this next question is our last question and also a live question. When does fall 2020 for international master's students start?
Yeah, so that's August the 17th is when the fall semester starts for all students, including master's students.
Perfect. Thank you. I would like to say thank you to everyone who submitted questions and tuned in for virtual town hall. As we begin the summer, please do not hesitate to reach out to any of these individuals or myself if you have any questions or concerns. I would also like to congratulate the class of 2020. I know it was not what you expected, but on behalf of the student government, we are so very proud of you and wish you well in your next adventure. Thank you to all of our panelists who joined today, and thank you all for tuning in. And I hope you all stay happy, safe, and healthy. And remember, it's always a great day to be a shocker. Stay tuned for announcements for upcoming virtual town halls. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.